Welcome. Welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between. Jackie's got a sports show, and I don't know why I'm throwing my hands everywhere. Jackie's got a sports show, and you are tuning in to that very sports show. I welcome you back. How was your weekend? How'd your teams do? Did you, I don't know, get married? See your family? My work had a holiday meal on Saturday. And my God, does it have me hyped up for Thanksgiving. As you can see, as you can probably tell, I like to eat. Big boys like to eat. Trying to slow down, I say, as I have 4 mini muffins for breakfast and a glass of chocolate milk this morning. Trying to slow down, trying to get my weight under check, feeling the health effects from being so fat. But you get that Thanksgiving holiday meal, you get some ham, you get some mashed potatoes, some green beans, a little pumpkin pie. Come on, dude. It's got me so hyped up for Thanksgiving. Got a little bit of a show today. Going to talk about some Clippers. Then we're going to talk about what happened in college football and the NFL. And we're going to get out of here. I'm going to try not to peak the mic so much, I promise, because I know NFL peaks it a little bit and doesn't sound good. So we're going to try to keep it around this range right here. Let's get right into the show. But of course, before, as I peak the microphone again, before, like, rate, and share. Like, rate, share the show. Share on all platforms you are on, and rate it, rate it, rate it, rate it. Give 5 stars. Even if you have a bad review, give it 5 stars and then tell me how bad the show is, okay? Let's get right into it. LA Clippers. LA Clippers. Los Angeles Clippers. City of Angels team, well, the redheaded stepchild of Los Angeles. Picked up James Harden. Said, we're going to win a championship now. Our roster, our starting five's an all-star team. Yeah, that all-star team is a 2014 all-star team, but it's an all-star team. 0-4. They have won 0 games with James Harden on the floor. 0. They are now 3-6 after starting off, a 3-2, 3-1, maybe? And you can excuse losing to the Knicks, because the Knicks are Eastern Conference playoff team. You can excuse that. You can excuse losing to the Mavs, one of the best teams in the West currently, playoff team in the West for certain. And I'll even give you the Nets. The Nets aren't a great team, but they're competing for a playoff spot. I can give you the Nets. But the Grizzlies? You lost to the Grizzlies last night? The Grizzlies. The 1-8 Grizzlies. The Grizzlies who are just treading water until John Morant comes back. Praying to God that they stay afloat, that they win just enough that when Ja comes back, he'll lead them to the playoffs. That Grizzlies team you lost to. And James Harden, 1 for 7 from 3-point. 1 for 7. 11 points, 4 assists. I'm sitting back, and I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm sitting back, I'm taking a deep breath, and I'm laughing. I am enjoying this because when I put out the promo podcast clip, when the Clippers traded for James Harden, and I put out the clip saying, the Clippers are, I don't know why I'm mocking myself, but I said the Clippers are old. The Clippers think they can win a title like this because, our starting five is an all-star team. Yeah, the all-star team is from 10 years ago. It's a 10 years ago. I said this, and people in the comments were like, just wait till they play a game. Just wait till they play a game. Someone was like, yeah, this guy just thinks that you have to be young to win a championship. 0-4. They're going to win some games with James Harden, right? And maybe they have figured this thing out. But right now, I'm enjoying this. I'm sitting back, and I'm loving it. 0-4 since picking up James Harden. Gotta love it. I just got a weird notification on my phone. All right, let's go to college football. College football. Start off with Michigan going over Penn State 24-15, and this is interesting. I'm not gonna, say anything about the score because Penn State has one of the best defenses in the league. Knew that Michigan was going to score under 30 for the first time. I can't exactly remember my score prediction, but it was pretty close. I think I had it like 27-13. This is why you have to watch the podcast. You have to watch the podcast. I was a couple points off. But what's Jesus? But what's very impressive about this game is Jim Harbaugh. I also said in the podcast that I didn't think that Jim Harbaugh would be suspended before the Penn State game. And then I released the podcast, and a couple hours after I released it, it comes out, oh, they're suspending Jim Harbaugh. Actually, he touched down in Pennsylvania, and the NCAA was like, yeah, you're not going to be on the field, apparently. So, what impresses me about this game is Michigan goes to Penn State in Penn State and beats Penn State, dominates them pretty much the entire game while their coach, a day before the game, gets notified that he cannot be on the sideline. Cannot be on the sideline. And this team comes out and still dominates a conference opponent. I think it's a very, very, very good sign. I think that they beat this. They beat that out of Maryland next week. And I think they beat Ohio State. And they made the college football playoffs without Jim Harbaugh being on the sideline. Without being on the sideline, a lot of people are going to say that the NCAA should hold them out of the college football playoffs. A lot of people, if Michigan goes on to win the college football national championship, a lot of people are going to say, hey, maybe this should have a little asterisk to it. I guess that's going to be their asterisk, because there's an asterisk on every single championship in every single sport. Every single one. And I guess that's going to be their asterisk of, hey, they cheated a little bit. Because this is the best Michigan team in the past 20 years. Keeping them out of the college football playoffs would be a crime. Yeah, that's all I got to say about Michigan. Washington holds off Utah 35-28, trailing Utah for a little bit in this game. And for Washington fans, I'm not hitting the panic button. I said that if Utah can pull off a 35-point performance on offense, that they would win this game. They had a very good chance of winning this game, and they missed that mark by 7 points and ended up losing 35-28. I'm a Utah fan. I'm actually pretty hyped up. The past 2 weeks, that offense has looked so much better. So much better than it has all season. It sucks that offense is catching on late, like a little too late to really do anything. And of course, Washington is, up there with Oregon in the most complete teams in college football. In my opinion, the most complete teams in college football are Michigan, Washington, and Oregon. Georgia's getting there a little bit. But it really sucks for Utah, because I've been pulling for Utah for the past couple of years. Utah has been a little sleeper team of mine the past couple of years. And to see that, I'm going to start yawning. I'm going to punch something if I start yawning. I feel it in the back of my throat. But Washington holds them off. I'm not freaking out as a Washington fan. It's a Pac-12 team. Pac-12 teams love to eat each other, especially the past couple of years. And Utah's a very good Pac-12 team. So I'm not hitting the panic button. You made it past them. On to next week. And I believe next week, what is next week for Washington? Let me stall while I look this up. What is next week for the Washington Huskies? While I look this up, go ahead and share the show, rate the show, wherever you are. If someone comes up to you in the street and says, yo, you got a podcast? You got a podcast I can listen to? You'd be like, yeah, Jakey's got a sports show. Tune in to that sports show. What are you showing me? What are you showing me right now? Alabama plays Chattanooga? Ooh. Well, that's a tough matchup. I don't know who I'm taking then. What is it showing me? For some reason, it's showing me Division II too, which Georgia's got Tennessee. Ooh, oh no. Washington plays Oregon State, and Oregon State just put up 63. That is going to be an interesting game. But on Oregon State, don't freak out, Washington fans. Next, Tennessee gets skunked. Gets skunked by Missouri, 36-7. And I said on the podcast, I'm a Tennessee fan. So I can be completely honest with you, and you can trust everything I say about Tennessee. I said if Tennessee was off by even a little bit, this would be a bad game. This would be a bad game, and they would lose. And they were off. They couldn't run the ball. Between Jalen Wright, Dylan Sampson, and what is the other running back's name? Jalen Wright, Dylan Sampson, and the other running back. The other running back, between all of them, they had like 30, 40 yards. Joe Milton led the team in rushing at 60 yards, and this team's offense goes through the run game. Everybody was coming in saying, oh, Joe Milton's got that big cannon of an arm. It's going to be like a deep whatever. No, because their best receiver is Squirrel White, and he's not that great. This offense runs through the run game, ironically. And the run game didn't get going. The run game didn't get going. They took a 7-3 lead in the first quarter and just didn't do anything after that. And the defense got tired. That's what happened. And Missouri smacked them around. For pretty much 4 quarters. Wow. Pretty much 4 quarters. I swear, I meant to record this last night. I fell asleep, which sucks. Got a little off track. But that's all I really got to say, mostly because I'm just so disappointed in the performance. I was expecting a disappointing performance when I saw Missouri on the schedule. Missouri is a good football team right now. It just sucks. So let's just move on. Georgia over Ole Miss, 52-17. It was a fun quarter and a half. My boy BRF Sports said that he was scared of Ole Miss, that he worried about Ole Miss, he worried about that Ole Miss offense, and I don't get it. I never got it. Just because I don't like Jackson Dart, just because I don't like Lane Kiffin. I just don't like that offense, and I didn't understand why he was scared out of them. The first quarter and a half, I understood. But then the rest of the game, when the offense started turning the ball over and not being able to do anything, and the defense wasn't showing up. The defense wasn't showing up the entire game. I didn't understand why people were scared of Ole Miss. I didn't understand it. And I got to reiterate this. People were scared of this offense, an offense led by Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart? He can make a couple good throws. He's fine. But is he some like, oh no, we're playing Jackson Dart this weekend? No. Oh no, we're playing Lane Kiffin this weekend. No. 52-17. 52-17. And our BRF Sports, Champ Pryor go live every Sunday after the late games in the NFL. And they were talking about this, how they're scared of Ole Miss. I don't get it. They're Georgia fans. They're full Georgia, Atlanta Falcons, Atlanta Hawks. They're those guys, right? I don't get it. I never got the fear of Ole Miss. For Georgia, they keep proving to me that I shouldn't have been hating on them early in the season. I should have just accepted that they were number one, even though the best excuse given to me was we won the national championship last year. Whatever. I have to eat crow on it. I'll eat crow on it. And the last game I want to talk about, outside of, I want to give a shout out, Jaden Daniels should win the Heisman, like 300 yards in the air, almost 300 yards on the ground. Dude carried LSU. Shout out that, but I didn't really keep up with that game. What I did keep up with, Texas escaping Texas Christian University, TCU, 29-26. The big thing I want to talk about is Texas is playing with fire. A lot of people are trying to say that Texas is trying to make a push for the college football playoffs. I don't think that'll happen. I think the it'll be Florida State when they win the ACC championship. It'll be the Big Ten championship winner, which is probably going to be Michigan. It'll be the SEC championship winner, which is probably going to be Georgia, should be Georgia. And it's going to be Washington or whoever wins the Pac 12. Unless the NCAA or the playoff committee does what I am scared they're going to do and say, oh, look, because I'm going to say this right now. I don't know why Ole Miss was ranked number 9. I don't know why. I don't know why. You could say the rest of the teams behind them just didn't deserve it, but with how Ole Miss played and with how I feel about Ole Miss, I really can't shake the feeling that they were ranked. Oh my fucking God! That they were ranked number 9 just because the committee wanted a team for Georgia to beat in case they lost the SEC championship, and they could be like, oh, well, Washington lost the Pac 12 championship, and we don't really want to let Oregon in. Georgia has this win over Ole Miss. Top 10 win. But Texas, the reason I say that Texas is playing with fire. I don't have confidence in Texas. They barely escaped TCU. They barely escaped Kansas State 33 to 30, and they escaped Houston 31 to 24. Texas is playing with fire, lads. Fire. And I don't think they'll beat Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship. But that was it. That was it for college football. Tell me how your team did. Comments, answer the question. Connected to the podcast. Tweet at me at jjoser615 or the pod's Twitter, Jackie Show, or follow me on TikTok, Jackie Boy Sports, and leave it in one of those comments, whatever you do. Just let me know how your team did. Let's move to the NFL before I start shouting again for my yawning. Now, the early game, Colts beating the Patriots 10-6. And I'm going to be honest, in Germany, I woke up, started getting ready, got to my lady's work, sat down at my little station and set up my football watching station. And I saw the final score and I was like, oh, that game happened. And it was bad. It was ugly. I watched some highlights from it. It was ugly. And the big story coming out of it, which isn't really a big story anymore, Mac Jones gets benched again. Again. I think it's the third time this year. Maybe like the 6th or 7th time in the past 2 years. I mean, when are the Patriots finally just going to bail on Mac Jones? It feels like they already have. When are they finally just going to pull the trigger and completely bail on this guy? Luckily, the Patriots are setting themselves up to get a great quarterback in the draft, whether that be Drake May, MPJ. I don't know if they're going to get Caleb Williams. A lot of people are getting lower and lower and lower on Caleb Williams, but I don't know if it's going to be Caleb Williams, Drake May, maybe Cam Ward. Cam Ward is looking like a sleeper little pick. A lot of people are high on J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy feels like the quarterback New England would take. Let's be honest. Let's be real honest. If the Patriots get a top 10 pick and they're going for a quarterback, try to convince me that they're not going to take J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy feels like the kind of quarterback that Bill Belichick would take. Let's just be completely honest. But the Texans, let's move on. Texans beat the Bengals 30-27 in Cincinnati, and it's time to start having that conversation, folks. It's time to start having that conversation that the Texans are one of the best teams in the AFC. Are they the best team? Are they a Super Bowl contender in the AFC? No. They still have a long way to go. But do they have a good young head coach? Yes. D'Amico Ryans, I believe that's his name. I think it's D'Amico Ryans. Do they have a young defense that's getting better? Yes. Do they have a young quarterback who is looking like he could be that guy for the next 15 plus years? Yes. Do they have a good receiving core? Yes. They need really, I think they need a true number one guy. I like Tank Dell. I like Nico Collins. Robert Woods is a solid vet, but I think they really need that one alpha, big receiver on the outside. I think they need that. Dalton Schultz is a very good guy at tight end. I think they need to stitch up the offensive line just a little bit. And I think the running backs are good. But they have a young offense that's just going to get better. They have a young defense that's just going to get better. Well, they have a couple old guys on offense, but you get what I'm saying. This Texans team is going to be scary. This Texans team is going to be scary for a long time. I'll be honest, when you look at the rest of the AFC South, the Titans, no. 20-6 loss against the Buccaneers looking completely awful, especially that offensive line. The Colts, no. Who knows what's going to happen with Anthony Richardson? When Anthony Richardson was on the field, the Colts look competent, but really, you got to start raising the question of, can he stay healthy? Is he going to be a healthy quarterback? The Jaguars, stupidly inconsistent. Sometimes they look like they could be contenders coming out of the AFC. A lot of times they don't. They are off more than they are on. And that is just the complete and honest, God's honest truth. I think the Texans are the best team in the AFC South. I think that they win the AFC South division this year. I'm saying it. I'm saying it right now. I'm picking the Houston Texans to win the AFC South this year, make the playoffs. And if you are the Carolina Panthers, who traded an entire yacht full of draft picks and your best offensive player, you trade them to the Bears for that number one overall pick, and you pick Bryce Young, and you see that CJ Stroud has taken a Houston Texans team who is pretty much, a couple pieces are added, but who is pretty much the same Houston Texans team that was bottom two in the league last year. He takes that team to the playoffs. He takes that team to looking like one of the best teams in the AFC, a much more stacked conference than the NFC. If you see this kid doing that, you're kicking yourself. I know a lot of people are having this conversation. I know a lot of people are annoyed by it. And I'm not saying Bryce Young's a bust. I'm not saying that he was exactly the wrong pick yet. And I'm not saying Bryce Young can't be a good quarterback in this league. But what I'm saying is, in terms of right now, if you are the Carolina Panthers and you see CJ Stroud doing what he's doing in Houston, and you see what Bryce Young has given you this year, you're kicking yourself. You are. You're kicking yourself. But hey, don't. Don't kick yourself, because then you're going to lose confidence in your young quarterback, and then he's really not going to be the guy for you. So if I'm the Panthers, I'm just going to be like, damn, and then move on, and then move on. Damn, we got our guy. Now, let's talk about the 49ers. Are the 49ers back? Have the 49ers found their juice? One thing I do got to say is they put Chase Young on the other side of Nick Bosa, and it's working exactly like everybody thought it would. Disrupt, complete and utter dominance on the edges. And I'm saying it right now. Y'all remember how Julius Campbell? What? Why did I say his name like that? Julius Campbell in Remember the Titans? What he was for Gary Bertier? You take that You take that. Is it a simile or a metaphor? You decide. I think it's a comparison, actually. You take that comparison how you want to take that comparison. But the 49ers beat the Jaguars 34-3, complete and utter dominance for 4 quarters. Brock Purdy, 19-26, 296 yards and 3 touchdowns. This was against a pretty bad Jaguars defense. Ah! I'm just going to shout every time I have to yawn. An RIP Christian McCaffrey streak. I don't know how much validity to put into this performance by the 49ers. It was coming off a bye, but I told y'all the 49ers are now healthy. They are the healthiest they've been in several weeks. Several weeks. So 49ers are returning to form. Hopefully. Hopefully. I don't know why I'm a little 49ers fan. I guess I just love watching good football. And the 49ers, a healthy 49ers team, a 49ers team that is on, is a very good football team. Last two games that I want to touch on, Josh Dobbs, 2-0 as a Viking. Joshua Dobbs is 2-0 as a Minnesota Viking. Ah! I live with people that are still sleeping. I should probably cut that out. Josh Dobbs is 2-0 as a Viking. Couldn't be happier. The Vikings are still hot, still on a hot streak. I'm waiting for my lady, by the way, to just bust open that door and tell me to shut up. Just scream at me. And that'll be funny, and I'm keeping it in the podcast if it happens, even though I don't think you'd be able to hear it. But Joshua Dobbs leads the Vikings over the Saints in a shocker. And the Saints did not look good. I believe at one point the score was like 24-7. The Saints offense was not looking good. And then Derek Carr gets hurt. I believe they said shoulder and concussion, something like that. Jameis Winston comes in and reopens his famous bakery. You know, the bakery famous for apple turnovers. Solid. Solid. And the Saints just don't look good. And that sucks. That sucks. I picked them to win the NFC South. And with that NFC South, with how the Falcons played yesterday, with what the Panthers are, is the division winner the Buccaneers? Is the division winner the Buc? I think it's still the Saints because the Saints play enough bad teams to where they're going to, fluff that record up. Ah! But why is yelling working? But I want. Oh, and they lost Marshawn Lattimore. I forgot about that. Marshawn Lattimore was carted off the field. So the defense is just going to get worse. What is the NFC South? Objectively, the worst division in football, which, hey, the AFC South was seen as that before this season. So I'll take that. The last thing I want to touch on, the Lions and the Chargers. Stupid fun shootout, especially in that second half. It felt like touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. Whoever was getting the ball last is who was going to win the game. That's what it was feeling like. And I feel bad for Chargers fans. Because Chargers fans, this is another game. It has similarities to week 1 against the Dolphins, where it's a stupid fun game, stupid high scoring. My computer's about to die. Stupid high scoring, stupid fun, and you can't pull it out. Your defensive minded head coach cannot figure out defense. Your defensive minded head coach can't figure out defense. That sucks. That sucks. And honestly, I think Brandon Staley should be fired. I think we should be getting a notification that Brandon Staley has been fired and there's an interim coach in LA. That team is way too talented to be wasted like this. It just is. It just is. Well, that's all. Let me get out of here before my computer dies. Jackie's got a sports show. You just tuned into that sports show, and I really do appreciate you tuning in to this sports show. As always, like, rate, and share where you can. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Jackie Show. Follow my personal Twitter. Follow my personal Twitter at JJester615. Follow my TikTok, Jackie Boy Sports, for daily sports takes, reactions to games on the weekends, whatever is there. And email me questions, comments, concerns. You want to tell me you love me, you want to tell me you hate me, whatever you want to tell me. oldjackieboy1021 at gmail.com. That is old Jackieboy, OLE 1021 at gmail.com. That is all. I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace, love, and pixie dust.